Good morning and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome again at the fourth Global Empowerment Summit, the third day. I'm super happy. We had so many good times. We have already 25 sessions, and all of them are so inspiring and energetic. We are exploring diversity and the power of diversity. And I think you had a fun yesterday and the day before we had our networking session. It was also gamified. We had a beautiful game going on. The people are accumulating their points, and we will see who will be winning the prizes tomorrow. So today, I'm starting with a very energetic group. They are exploring mental health from a diverse perspective, and I'm very happy to welcome Afsan, who is with me from the beginning. We have so many speakers coming back, and I'm really celebrating this year, the 4 years that we are having here together, continuously coming back and empowering you. So welcome, Afsan, on the stage. How are you today?
Hi, Andrea. Hello, everyone. I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm very good. I'm very, very happy. This
My
is the
pleasure.
last day, and it's very special to have you here. Let's bring up Suhashini. Let's see. Hi, how are you
Hi
today?
everyone. I'm so good. Thank you so much for the invite. So happy to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the panel. This is a beautiful panel with a very, very beautiful purpose. Let's bring up Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline. How are you today?
Hi everyone. I am very sleepy. So early. Yeah.
No worries.
But
It's very early at Jacqueline's place in Kenya. Count back. It's
yeah,
6 hours, right? You're 6 hours away, so count back from your time. It's really, really early. You don't
this
wake
is
up.
sorting me out anyways.
Thank you so much. And then I'm bringing up Zeph from the other part of the world, from the US. Hi, Zeph. How are you today?
Hello, hello, hi everybody. It's so good to be here.
And here is our forever fan, Alchan, tuning into every single session. Hi, Alchan. How are you today?
Hi, Al. Woo!
So good to have you here, ladies. I will be very, very quickly moving backstage and I let you explore your topic. Thank you so much for doing this. Let's get it rolling. The stage is yours, Afzan.
Yay! So hello everybody and welcome to this session. We have three distinguished guests with me today, and they are Zevzan from the US, Jacqueline from Kenya, and Suha from Malaysia. And today we'll be talking about cultural sensitivity in mental health support. So I would like to introduce myself. I'm Avzan from Recover Now PLT. I'm a mental health advocate and also director of learning Erica at my own company now. Woo! I just started last year and I'm so excited. So now I'd like each of our guests to introduce themselves. So let's start with Jacqueline. How are you, Jacqueline?
Hi. I'm
Yeah.
very, as I said, I just feel sleepy, so I'm just trying to wake up. But I'm really so honored to be here. My name is
Yeah.
Jacqueline Mwema. I'm in Kenya, Nairobi, but right now I'm in Naivasha. I'm
Mm.
actually in a particular resort. I just came here for some vacation. And
Mm.
I am so glad to be here. I am actually the CEO and the founder of Jackie Fitness. I'm a mental advocate. I deal with IPT, that is interpersonal psychotherapy. So I'm an IPT specialist, and I mostly deal with women or mothers with postpartum depression. I'm also a nutrition based weight loss coach, a YouTuber, guys.
Yay. You wear so many hats, Jacqueline. Yeah. So next up, let's go with Suha. Hi, Suha. Yeah, would you kindly
Hi,
introduce yourself,
Afsan.
Suha? Yeah.
Thank you so much for the invite today. And hi, everyone. Such an energizing group. So glad to be part. I'm Suha. I'm a 22-year-old medical student based in Malaysia. And prior to pursuing medicine, I actually completed a degree in psychology. That's where my passion and understanding for mental health first took root. As an advocate, I channel my enthusiasm into meaningful volunteer work. So I'm actively involved in NGOs like Mind Matters Network that focuses on initiatives that promote mental well-being. And additionally, my commitment extends to volunteering in UNHCR as well. That's where I contribute my efforts towards supporting mental health initiatives within the broader humanitarian context. And I believe my journey reflects a dedication to both mental health in medical and psychological aspects as well. Thank you again.
Yay, kudos to you, Suha. And now over to Zev. Yay!
Hello. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Avzan, for inviting me to join you on this panel. Hi, everyone. I'm Zaf Zan, and I'm actually a virtual events producer at zafzan.com. But I'm actually a fellow Malaysian who, countryman of Avzan, and I live here in the US. I've been here for over 25 years. So I'm very honored, and I think Avzan knows my story and the past, few years, Avzan been in my circle, and I've shared a lot of my mental health journey with her. And I think that's probably why I qualified to be on this panel. I'm so humble and honored to be here to share the story, whatever I've learned abroad, to be on this panel. Thank you for having me. And to all of
Yes,
you.
Zev is my soul sister. Woo! Okay, so as everybody knows, our topic today is cultural sensitivity in mental health support, and whether we admit it or not, whether we like it or not, culture does play a role and does have its impact on mental health in the community. So what we want to discuss today is how our own culture, as we are a diverse group here. We have Jacqueline from Kenya, Suha, who's of Indian background, and Zev, who is a Malay but living abroad, and I myself am Malay in Malaysia. So we would like to explore how our different cultures address mental health in the community. So maybe Jacqueline, would you like to tell us how mental health is viewed from in Africa, or specifically in Kenya?
Yes. I can see people saying Jumbo Jacqueline, Jumbo Kenya, everyone. So yes, different cultures have different perception here on mental health and mental illness. But just allow me to just focus on Kenya specifically because Africa is diverse. Yeah, so in my culture here, mental health is actually viewed as not as serious as us psychologists or mental health personnel uh, portray or perceive it. And they don't actually prioritize it as much. They actually don't. They perceive it as problems for white people. That's what they say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and like yeah, and it's like a sign of weakness, and people actually don't seek help since they're just so afraid, and there's a lot of stigma and discrimination which is related with mental health and mental illness. Yeah.
Okay. That is interesting, really, because even in the Malay culture, or rather the Asian culture, we see mental health as a sign of weakness. It's still a taboo subject here. A lot of people still won't admit it if they are facing mental illness or mental health issues. So, what about you, Zeph? How about the Asian culture who have been abroad for so many years? Like, do they still see mental health as something of a taboo, or is there still stigma? Would you elaborate on that?
So, from my personal experience, the short answer is yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, depending on the range of years they've lived here in the US and the community or their connections that that are in their environment, right? It kind of defines the difference between whether they make progress and go beyond the stigma and the silence or not, right? And one of the biggest things, there are communities that, what I've learned from my experience, I've seen like Malaysian communities, doesn't matter, it's Chinese, Indian, Malay, right? If they kind of bond together in a small community that is like tight, they may not make progress beyond the stigma and silence as fast as they think they would be doing, right? But if they actually, in their environment and their connection and their diaspora, their community, they mingle, or maybe it's through work, or maybe it's through community work, right? Maybe it's career or their environment, kind of supports or encourages mental health awareness, that they grow in the aspect of mental health awareness, and they shy away from the stigma that we've had in the Malaysian culture. That's what I've experienced here in the US.
Yeah, that's it. That's actually, I do believe that is actually true, because when we go out of our small community, like say even in Malaysia, when we mix
Yep.
with other, we go out to explore the world, then our minds are more open, and we view
Okay.
mental health differently. Yeah. So how about you,
100%.
Suha? What do you think your own culture as an Indian view mental health?
Right. So I live here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which is like
Mhm.
the main city in Malaysia. And I
Yeah.
think mental health here is increasingly viewed through a lens of medical and psychological understanding, which I think is
Mhm.
amazing. However, let's
Mhm.
talk about the more urban areas within the Indian communities. So while there's gradual progress, actually, there are certain setbacks that still persist. For example, traditional beliefs associating mental health issues with personal or familial shame, it can often hinder open discourse. And despite the emerging awareness, cultural norms, they still contribute to a level of secrecy surrounding mental health struggles, which is quite unfortunate, but I believe it is progressing and it will get better with time and effort.
Yes, I also agree with you there, because as a mental health advocate myself, I do see that we are gradually progressing, but there is still this inertia in our community that somehow is stopping us from talking openly or having open conversations about mental health. Just like, we talk openly about having heart disease or kidney problems, but we don't really talk about our mental struggles in the community. But so how what do you think are the cultural barriers that may prevent people from seeking or giving mental health support?
I think stigma it plays a really important role in shaping attitudes toward mental health support. And in most societies where progress has been made, stigma often manifests in subtler forms, such as like fear of being labeled or judged. And this can like deter individuals from seeking timely help in the very crucial time. So they seek help a little later. For example, in Malaysia, the stigma may stem from concerns like social standing or community perception, even in the community that I live in. So individuals might hesitate to seek support due to fear of ostracization or even damaging family reputation. And I believe these examples, they highlight the overarching influence of stigma, which underscores the need for targeted efforts to dismantle these barriers and foster a more accepting approach to mental health globally.
Yes, I can see that Shamya has commented, when they go out of our community, minds are more open and helps with awareness of mental health and hopefully reduces the stigma attached to it. I agree with that. Actually, I think we need to go out more and see things from different perspectives. Then I think our minds will be more open and will be more receptive towards receiving mental health support. Um, Jacqueline, what about in Kenya? What are the cultural barriers that may prevent people from seeking mental health support? From your own experience, as you said, you deal with mothers with postpartum depression. What are the things that are usually stopping them or preventing them from going to you, let's say, to get help?
Yes. So, as I had mentioned earlier, most of them really believe that issues of mental health could be due to supernatural powers, or
Mhm.
maybe possession of evil spirits, or even generational curse. So, for For those who really believe in supernatural causes, they refer or they go to places of worship and faith healers as alternatives, compared to going seeking me now to work with them in that journey. They first of all start with their pastors or their religious leaders, their priests, and all that. And most of these things is because they're afraid of being labeled, because the first question I mentioned that it's not normal to have mental health illness in my country. They say those are like white people's problems. So when you mention that you have a mental issue problem, they will label you. They label you, they call you psycho, and such terms will be used on you. And then lack of money, because they just have that mentality of mental seeking therapy is very expensive, so they'd rather just complain about how expensive therapy is and not go for it at all. Yeah. And it's so ironic that they say it's very expensive, but when they go to the when they go to the spiritual healers and pastors, they still they still give some money. Yeah. So, and then there's the influence of the spiritual leaders to just encourage the victims, and the lack of knowledge as well. Sometimes they are not even aware whether they're depressed or whether they are facing some mental health illnesses. Yeah. So I think those are some of the barriers so far in my country. Thank you.
I think we share that commonality where we in Malaysia also still have that belief of the supernatural, and that people can be affected by black magic and such. Not denying that these occurrences do happen, and it is possible for people to be affected by the supernatural, but I think it is important as a progressive society, as progressive people, we need to uh, shift our mindset and go towards the scientific explanation for it first, rather than going to the spiritual or the supernatural aspect of it. Not denying these things do happen, and I have seen people affected by it as well. And from my own experience, like you said, we are afraid of being labeled. It's true, because I was just diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2019. It's just 4 years ago, and I'm now 42 years old. I was diagnosed at 38. And when I was diagnosed, I was still afraid of being labeled as psycho, or as having a weakness, that I did not have control over my own faculty, and that is a deterrence, I think, from people in Malaysia, and I think around the world even, to seek help. What about you, Zeph? What in the Malaysian community in the US, what are the barriers or the cultural barriers that may be preventing them? Because I believe that in the US they are a minority, and as compared to their homeland, so maybe the community is tighter and smaller, so maybe they are more afraid of being judged by their own community. What do you say about that?
So for me, it doesn't matter what I've learned. It doesn't just apply. This, what I'm going to share is, it just doesn't apply to the Malaysian community, but I see this in general, whether it's the American, then the Hispanics, or whatever. I see the similarity in every culture, not only in the Malaysian culture abroad. The barrier, one of the biggest barrier, I think, in a lot of cultures is the belief of old programming. And what that really means is that things that we were taught through generations that would pass down to us, that do not apply to us today like it did before, because our grandmother told our parents, or parent taught it to us, and then not knowing, because back then there wasn't enough education on mental health awareness, or not much of mental health advocacy, right? So people just believed everything that was taught to them, right? That when times change, generations change, they carry, some just believe like everything they were taught because it was taught by their parents, their grandparents. There's a lot of respect. There's a lot of like, okay, I can't go against my parent. The fear of being judged, the fear of like, oh my God, she's my mom. She taught me this. I shall believe that this is true. This is what I call old programming. And I see this in all cultures, many, many cultures in the US. So at the end of the day, whether you experience a journey, a mental health awareness journey, or a healing, right? I have had to ask myself, does this apply to me right now, my life right now? What I've seen in this diaspora across the world is that sometimes old programming stick with us, just like what Jackie said. There's this, you're being labeled, you're being judged, and we don't like, as human beings, we don't like to be judged, we don't like to be, labeled for whatever reason, because there wasn't enough education, or there isn't willingness to do the work or to find information to educate ourselves. So we stick with the old programming. Why? Because it's more comfortable. Because the work to advocate for mental health is so hard for some people. They just go like, throw their hands in the air and go like, oh, my mom taught me this, so it's true. So this is why I'm talking about old programming. It's a big barrier in us, like moving forward. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense to some of you guys watching out there, because when I went through my own, journey, I was like, oh my God, this doesn't apply right now. In this generation, I don't think it applies, So I think old programming, we have to kind of unpack it, decipher it, see what applies to our generation right now, and then have the willingness and the openness to educate ourselves and see what applies.
Yep, I think it's true that we need to break the generational cycle of this old
Yep.
programming. I love the term you use, old
Not many
programming.
people talk about old programming, because for some people it's stigma. It's like, oh, I'm talking against my mom, I'm talking against my grandparents who taught my mom, who taught my dad, so they don't want to talk about it because it's old programming. They feel like, oh, I'm disrespecting my parents, disrespecting my generation before me, my ancestors. But folks, the millennials are teaching us right now that old programming do not work sometimes. We
Yeah.
have to figure out, what does it apply to us right now? So educate ourselves.
Yeah, I believe it is very,
Yeah.
very important to educate ourselves. Would Jacqueline or Suha, would you like to add more to Zeph's point of
Totally
culture?
agree with her.
Yeah. Mhm.
I actually totally agree with her. In fact, in Indian culture, there's a sort of like a historical narrative of facing adversity with stoicism. And while resilience is commendable, this cultural expectation sometimes prevents individuals from acknowledging their mental health struggles. And expressing vulnerability or admitting the need for support can sometimes be perceived as a departure from the cultural norm, making it very difficult for individuals to even reach out for help.
Yes, definitely. So I'd like to thank our audience who are commenting.
Yeah.
Baligwa,
I
I
think I
hope
can maybe add something.
Oh yeah, Jacqueline, please do. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, it's fine. I was actually saying that, bearing in mind that uh, culture is actually personal, even if in my country, it's not just about my ethnic group. There are different ethnicity or ethnic groups. So there are different cultures just within one country, you see. And actually, it's so personal, very personal, as Zeph has just mentioned. Um, so it really needs a lot of work, because even if I'm in a particular community and I'm just focused on that community, anyway, the point is, we just have a lot of work to teach these
Yes,
people that
I
it's
agree.
not just about the culture, and break that, or maybe respect their culture and also respect the mental health aspect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alza, can I just share something right here?
Yes.
And two things. One, I love what Baligwa I think she, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if Baligwa is a female or male, but I'm just going to comment to what was shared here. It says effects of certain medicines, side effects of drugs, sedentary lifestyle, and unacceptable, is it
And
unacceptable
acceptance.
acceptance from people in the families. And I agree with Jackie 100%. Mental health is just not one modality, right? There's a lot of
Mhm.
things that act. That's why we go for assessment, we go for diagnosis, we go for a spiritual journey, see which modality works for us personally, because it's such a personal choice. At the end of the day, do you want to have a better life? So if you want a better life, we should be willing to open up and receive guidance and see which modality will help us, and we can make that personal choice, because it's really hard. It's not like a conversation that we can do in one session, right? It's
Mhm.
different for everybody. But Sharm here also says old programming affects many
Effect. Yeah.
aspects of our lives. 100%, I agree.
Yep. That is so true. Yeah. And I mean, even in my own journey seeking help, I've been, it took me several therapies and testing out different ways of healing for me to finally find what keeps me going and what really will heal me, because everybody is different. There's no one
Yeah,
size fits all treatment for people, because we're individuals, we are unique in our own
yeah,
ways. So treatment for people, some people maybe more towards the spiritual aspect of it, some people may be more towards the medical aspect of it. Like for me, I'm on medication, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm on medication, but at the same time, I'm also doing practical things that will help me heal. Yeah, and it's true. We need to respect our own culture and also everyone else's culture. So culture plays a part in
mhm,
in your decision making, in helping you making your choice when it comes to seeking mental health support. But then there's another aspect of it, which is intersectionality. Like let's say when it's not just the culture that comes into play, but also your gender, your financial capabilities, your sexuality. All these also comes into play when it comes to uh, whether you are encouraged or prevented from seeking mental health support. For example, as a Malay woman in Malaysia, there are certain cultural expectations, and especially as a woman, you're expected to wear this many hats. Being a good daughter, a good wife, a good mother, and for some reason, when you start focusing on yourself to focus on your own mental health, you start to be seen as a selfish person. So how does this intersectionality um, uh, play a role in your own culture when it comes to people seeking mental health support? What about you, Zeph?
well, I truly believe, the stigma of on a lot of things. I just feel this
Mhm,
conversation, is always going to be ongoing, because with new
mhm,
generation and the ones that have passed down to us, and then we will pass down to the next generation. I think as women, so an example, if we women at work, whether we're connecting and all that, there's a huge expectation of like if somebody says, here's an example. I had a friend who was going through some kind of like I think she was going through a divorce, right? And
mhm,
it was a lot on her, like a lot. The mental health challenge was trying to figure out a lot of things on our own and doing things, like you used to have a partner, then suddenly you have to do it all on your own, right? And there's no
mhm,
support. And you question, like, am I expected to do this on my own? Right? So where do you go for support? And I think it's very important that we have communities, or let's just put it this way. It's as simple as asking the person next to you, like, don't judge them. If they're having a bad day, they may be having a bad day because of they had to figure out, where do I get money, extra $500 to pay my bill, because I'm going through this mental health challenge right now, going through this divorce and stuff like that. But I think we have to be compassionate for the other person, because we don't know what it is, right? So one of the things I like to tell people, just be compassionate. Don't judge. If you don't like to be judged, don't judge other people, because we really, really don't know what the other person is going through. So be kind, be compassionate, and give them a pass for the day. So what, right? But I think build a relationship, or I mean, not only relationship. Before you get into the relationship, have the ability, or make a good practice to just say, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And it's so important. It can be as basic as that. So and the other thing is that, here's a story. This is a great story. Here's a great example, I think, that would actually answer your question. So one of my event business partners, she was in a supermarket standing in line. The lady behind her seemed a little frazzled. She was trying to figure out, like, she was trying to find the enough change and money to pay for her groceries. She just turned around and she asked the lady, "Excuse me, are you okay?" And she was like, started to cry. And my girlfriend says, like, "Oh my God." In that spur of the moment, all she said to this lady behind her was like, "I don't know how you are with your personal space, but can I give you a hug?" Right?
Oh.
And she started crying. And my friend asked her, "Why are you crying?" She says, "No one has ever asked me how I was doing and gave me a hug." That's an example of a person who's going through a mental health challenge at the moment. And sometimes all it takes is for a person to turn around, even if it's a stranger, and ask, "Are you okay? Can I hug you?" Because it is that important to somebody who's going through a mental health journey. Does that make sense? Does that help answer your
Oh my
question?
God. Yes, totally. And I get
I still have goosebumps when I talk about that, because when she shared that in our team meeting, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where I'm going to share the story, but I will share, because I think it is very
yes.
important. I'm having just zap goosies right now, sharing with all of you. You all go out. So it's Thanksgiving weekend here in the US. So, we're talking about being grateful and thankfulness, right? So
Yes.
that's a perfect example of we all should go out. I'm not asking you to kiss everybody on the road, right? But just be compassionate. You can just pay $5 for somebody's breakfast and they would be like so happy. But for us to turn around and go like, "Hey, Jack, excuse me, Jackie, is your name Jackie? Are you okay? Can I give you a hug?" Ask for permission. And you're like, "Oh my God," somebody cares enough to ask you, a stranger asking you. Do you all not get goosies? I get goosies
Oh my God.
talking
Yes,
about this.
I
Because I'm like,
do. And
this is perfect example of someone going through mental health challenge. That is what it looks like. Because sometimes, right, ladies, we think like, oh, everybody's straightforward, ha ha ha, like me. Like, they're okay, they're good, they're standing straight. But then you turn around like, "Oh, excuse me, can I give you a hug?" They go like, "Ah," So that's a perfect
yes.
example of trying to be compassionate with other people that you meet, because you never know. They may be having a hard day. Maybe their child is sick and they can't miss work. Nobody's gonna take care of their child today. Those are perfect example of what you just asked.
Yeah, and it's true. Most of oftentimes the help that we need is just the simplest thing. It's you don't have to do anything big for somebody. You just have to, like Jeff said, turn around and say, "Are you okay?" and and suddenly the floodgates will just, it will just be released, and all the tears will come out, and all the feelings that maybe have been pent up for so long just comes rushing out, and all the burden that's been in your head for so long suddenly feel you feel relieved that somebody is asking about you. Yeah, we have a question from developing the leader within podcast. Well, that's a long name. How is seeking mental health help? Oh, let me read that again. How is seeking mental health help viewed in your culture? Well, I'm just gonna call you DLWP, because if I'm just gonna say your whole name, it's gonna extend to another hour. So we've already discussed this actually at the beginning of this session, where we talk about how our culture views seeking mental health help. And what I can summarize from our panel's feedback, or our panel's input, is that um, different culture views mental health differently, and some may view it. Oh, okay, so your name is Enrique. That makes sense. Okay, and so our different cultures view mental health differently, and there may be stigma against seeking mental health help, but we are slowly progressing. And the more we explore each other's culture, the more we understand and respect each other's culture, the more support and the more understanding we will get, and we will be able to help our fellow, our friends and families who may be facing mental health challenges. Okay, so anyway, back to the topic of intersectionality. Jacqueline, what about you? What in how about in Kenya? How does the socioeconomic factors, the sexuality, the gender factors, when it intersects with your own culture, and how to get help, even with the barriers of these intersectional elements.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I'll just start with gender specifically, or mainly, because and this one goes for men. I know my focus is mainly on women or mothers,
Mhm.
but when it comes to this mental health and the intersection with the gender, now there are some things that I've discovered that in my culture, men are really encouraged to be men. And that is a statement which means basically you're just supposed to be strong and not vulnerable at all. Men don't cry. We have those
Yes,
comments here. Men as
boys don't cry,
I'm a
right? Yeah.
man, I'm a
Hmm.
man.
Hmm.
Yes, even the men themselves have embraced that, in that they keep repeating or reminding you that I'm a man, and you're wondering, yes, I can see you're a man, but it's coming from the perspective of he's supposed to be strong, He's supposed to be strong. He's not
Yeah.
supposed to be there being vulnerable, crying like a crybaby. And you see that mentality, that only as made it impossible for men to just be open-minded, just be able to seek mental health help, and there's that bar, or there's that expectation for them. So they just choose, I am so overwhelmed emotionally, I cannot express myself to anyone, because maybe that's just a thought. Maybe when I seek medical help for mental health issues, I might be judged, and since I'm a man, why would I be doing that? I need to be strong. So you see, they get overwhelmed. They get to that point where they're just bursting out. And that's where there are so many cases of gender-based violence, sexual violence, and all that, because they just want a channel to channel those emotions, because they bottle them most of the time. Yeah. And actually, that compared to women, it's actually different in my country, because women, we are naturally vulnerable, and so far we are very empowered nowadays. So So for women, mental health seeking behaviors are different when it comes to compared to men. But now what I do at my line of duty when I come across men, because I'm in a facility setting, hospital setting. So when I come across a man, I don't just sit down. I don't handle men the way I handle women because I know men just have that barrier within themselves. So I tend to listen more. I tend to be kinder to them. I tend to be more patient. And I'm telling you, my people, I'm telling you, I've seen men cry. Men do cry. I've seen it with my own eyes. So, because I think because they lack those things, they don't feel like there's someone to receive them, to be kind to them, to listen to them, to be patient with them. When they experience that, they they become vulnerable. They actually become very vulnerable. So that's what I can say. I've learned to be kinder to men, to be more patient, and to listen to them more. And I have seen a change when it comes to dealing with men. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Can I just
Yeah.
can I just commend you, Jackie? Because I think that is so spot on with men. And because this goes back to what I shared about old
Yeah,
programming.
oh, programming. Yes, I was about
Right?
to say
Because
that it comes
yes,
back to what you
that is
said.
like the
Yeah.
perfect example of programming. But you see, I'm having
Yeah.
goosebumps as I say this. I've got Zev Goosies, and it's a thing. But I'm
I
talking about this because
know.
I'm sharing this, commending you, Jackie, for recognizing that, number one. Number two, taking the time with these men because you know what, men, you all out there, I know you all just want to be heard, right? And have a place to be seen and heard. And I think, Jackie, you're doing a great job at that because this is where, what men don't understand in the old generation, the old programming we're talking about, where men are taught that, right? But the newer generation, they're realizing doing the work is harder. It's much more like, "Ugh," right? Because it takes
Yeah.
courage as a man. It takes like I gotta face my
Mm.
demons, look in the mirror and face your demons head on. And I just commend you. I just needed somebody to talk about you men out there. But thank you, Jackie. I commend you for doing that because men too want to be seen
Thank
and
you.
heard. We women don't do it enough. And Jackie, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop, kudos to
Woo.
you.
Yeah, as
Woo, I'm
Babsi
hot.
commented, men
Thank you.
men are very vulnerable, but it's the society that doesn't allow them to be, and I think that is true. Deep inside, I think they want to be
Exactly.
hugged, they want to have a shoulder to cry on, but the society or the culture doesn't allow them to. And
Yeah,
Elton
that's what
commented,
Bucks
Mm.
yeah, that's
017
what
said.
Buck Soul commented. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, so how? What about
Mm.
you? Do you have any experience as a psychology graduate? Um, uh, like how does this intersectionality of uh gender, sexuality, socioeconomic status play a part in people actually seeking mental health support?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Jacqueline, for bringing a gender perspective into this. But I'd like to talk about the factor of sexuality because I believe it is another dimension that intersects with culture and in mental health context as well. So, for example, the LGBT plus community, these individuals, I believe, they face a distinct
Yeah.
challenge because it shapes the cultural norm, influence acceptance and understanding. And I strongly believe a more culturally sensitive health support needs to acknowledge and respect diverse sexual orientations, creating safe spaces for individuals to explore and express their mental health needs without the fear of judgment and discrimination. So in cultures in Asia especially, we are less accepting of sexual orientation because it's something new to us.
Mm,
And so I believe if we progress in this aspect as well, it would really relate to the mental health perspective and can really help this community as a whole.
Yes, I agree with what Suha is saying. Because in the Asian culture, we're still looking at sexual orientations and sexuality as it's something new to us. But at the end of the day, I believe that you can agree or disagree with a culture, but when it comes to seeking mental health support, it's an individual's right. No matter what your sexuality, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your sexual orientation is, no matter what your socioeconomic culture, socioeconomic status is. So I think we need to be indiscriminate when it comes to helping people who are facing mental health challenges. Yeah. Um, okay, so we have a question from Sham. From what you understand, the physically disabled get some financial support from the government, but not for those with mental health challenges. Um, from
Wow,
my
that's a big one. That's like,
yes.
whoop,
Oop.
do you have
Well,
enough time to even talk about that?
we need a whole and another hour of discussion just on that topic.
I
But
agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
but to put some perspective on it, when I first felt like I needed psychiatric help, I first went to a government facility. I did the test, but the first appointment they set me up with was 6 months from the date that I first went to get help. When I first thought, like, I needed psychiatric help. At that point, I was already having suicidal thoughts. If I had waited 6 months to go to that very, very first appointment with a government doctor, I don't know what would have happened to me. But having said that, I am lucky
Yeah.
enough to be able to afford um, private private mental health care. And I think Soha would agree with me on this, that we need to um, we need more improvement on the side of the government when it comes to giving mental health support and mental health, because I believe in Malaysia there's only one psychiatry for every 100,000 Malaysian, as opposed to the WHO standard, which is one for every 10,000 or something like that. Yeah, so we are definitely lacking in that. Okay, so
Yeah.
we are almost running out of time. So I would like each of the panel to maybe just give your feedback on how to summarize on what you think culture, how culture should play a part in empowering people to seek mental health support. 1 minute each. Let's
All
start
right,
with
can I
Zeph.
just go first? All right, let me
Yeah.
just in 1 minute try to say this. All right, I believe we will never resolve the issue of culture when it comes to, like, I almost
Mhm.
feel like culture and mental health awareness, like, it's not responsible for each other, but it's very individual to the person who's experiencing the mental health journey or challenge, right? So I feel that if you kind of sense that you're not living in your joy, because you sense, because if you're connected to like who you really are, you might get some guidance from, I don't know what you call it, God, higher power, spirit, source, creator, whatever you want to call it. You will get guidance and this instinct magic feeling in you, and you're like, this doesn't feel right, right? Make the best choice for you now. That means it starts with, one, the willingness to get more information. I'm not saying that certain things cannot be addressed by the culture part, but you just have that awareness and the willingness to get more information, get more education, so that you can live a life that is joyful, and you can address if there's any mental health challenge or journey or healing, whatever, you will find the right modality to help you through your mental health journey. Boom.
Boom. Thank you, Zeph, for that. Okay, so let's go with Jacqueline. Anything you want to say? 1 minute.
Yeah. Yes, yes. I think it's high time now we normalize not being okay. Like, who told you that you're supposed to be okay all the time? I mean, it's not even realistic. Who said that?
No, it
You
isn't.
know?
Yeah.
So it's high time now. we normalize not being okay and sit with it, feel the emotions, and seek help if you cannot handle it anymore. Because
I
I
agree.
think we are really growing and there are a lot of improvements so far. Yes.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Suha, any last words from you before we go off?
Oh, yes, I think at the end of the day, it's essential to acknowledge that cultural identity is deeply intertwined with an individual's overall well-being. And for many individuals, including myself, particularly those from diverse backgrounds, identity plays a significant role in shaping their worldview and even their coping mechanisms. So as mental health professionals and as mental health advocates, facilitating conversations that explore the
Yeah.
intersection of cultural identity and mental well-being, it really helps in making people feel seen and heard. And I hope we've started the ball rolling with this conversation here today.
Yes, yes, I agree. Let's have more open conversations about mental health, no matter where you come from, no matter what your gender is or your socioeconomic status is. And I would like to thank all the panel members here for, spending time to talk with me today. And I would like to thank all the audience for spending your Sunday morning listening to a topic that is dear to my heart and also that is very, very important for the world right now. It's not just for Malaysia, but for the world. And thank you, Andrea, for having us today.
Anytime, anytime. Such a beautiful topic and so well done. Everyone is just cheering your sessions. I think it will be rewatched 1,000 times. You will go viral. Very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful content. And I just want to take the opportunity because I told you in the backstage that I would love to let you on and just talk and talk and talk. And I want to take the opportunity to announce just right now, because it's so good, that next year the topic is the past, present, and future of well-being and mental health. And I'm preparing a big event in Singapore, hopefully all good. So sponsors, partners, everyone, come right now. And we want to make something that shows how the future can be better if we take what was in the past and what's in the present and not wipe it out and go fully digital. So I would really love to connect, make people connect, give those hugs, like Zev said, in person, and feel the touch and move together. And I'm really excited about this. I would love to have you guys there in a live panel. So I will make it happen somehow. So
Yes.
let's visualize it, that 2024 will be like this. Save the date and the Thank you so much for today. It was amazing to have you here, guys. Beautiful panel. And as Afzan said, I appreciate you. Everyone is volunteering here, all the 120 speakers. Everything is live beside one panel, all the 38 panels. So I'm really, really thankful. I couldn't do this without you and without your beautiful gracefulness of being here on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much. Yeah. And also for the audience. We mean with the audience too. Beautiful energies. Okay, I will wrap up with the beautiful music and then see you again. Thank you so much, guys. If you rewatch it, please ask your questions. The speakers will come back to you. Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.